welcome to Just Us Thinking. I'm your host, Michael.
And I'm your co-host, Rebecca.
And I'm your AV guy, Mikey.
And we're going to have a show for you today. What are we covering?
We're going to cover Working Out Discrimination.
Ah, the old EEOC wonderful folks down there, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the EEOC, what does it stand for?
It stands for the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
That is a mouthful.
It is. Kind of love all those acronyms.
Yeah, no wonder it's the EEOC.
Yeah.
Now they kind of handle all like workplace discrimination, right?
They do.
And before we really get started, now a lot of people, and I think you're included in this, you're like, well, here in the U.S. we have the First Amendment, right?
Right.
So, Mikey, what does the First Amendment cover? I'm putting him on the spot.
This is going to cover your freedom of the press, freedom of the speech, and freedom of religion.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Nice.
Very good.
Good job, Mikey.
So, now what people get confused on a lot with the rights in your the First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third Amendment, Fourth, all that. Those are all written for the government.
Okay.
Okay. The EEOC handles the private sector just to make sure everybody's playing by the same rules. No one's doing anything stupid, and
They're not doing a very good job. There's a lot of companies out there that do a lot of stupid things.
Well, and that's kind of cool that you said that, because I will tell you, the EEOC reported that it filed 143 new employment discrimination lawsuits in the fiscal year of 2023.
Wow.
So that was an increase of 50%.
Jeez.
So I guess I have a question. I got a couple questions now.
Okay.
Are we discriminating more, or are more people reporting it and not putting up with it anymore?
It could be, it could be a variable of certain things. It could be both of what you said. And I think, people get so offended easily, today.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's, everything like offends everybody for some reason.
Well, yeah.
And it's not just the workplace, but it's everyday life,
So if you are... Okay, so a lot of people. So you're saying back then they had a lot thicker skin?
Possibly, yeah.
What if people are just fed up with the crap?
Well, that could be it too.
So,
like I said, there could be a lot of factors involved. So.
Okay. Well, now we have a couple stories here, right?
We do, yeah.
Now, before we get into the stories, now the EEOC, there's a criteria there, right, Mikey?
There is. They make it to where people of race, color, religion, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, national origin, age, disability, or genetic information.
Okay, and you said gender was one of them, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So that's your whole, men versus women and that kind of deal. So, okay.
Yeah.
So what's the first story you have?
So the first story I came up with was the dyslexic Starbucks employee.
Okay.
And I laugh because that's just a handful to say for me.
Okay.
But I guess it was actually over in London, like back in 2016 or so.
Okay.
The lady, she was getting like temperature readings and like different reporting stuff, like the numbers mixed up.
Okay.
So they were accusing her of fraud.
Okay.
And I guess it's like under the, the 2010 Equality Act, which replaced the Disability Act.
Now that's overseas, right?
Yeah.
That's over in London?
Well, this happened over in London.
Okay.
So, but, yeah, so basically they accused her, of all this wrongdoing, and they really didn't take into consideration that, she had this, I guess,
it's a disability.
Disability, yeah. So
Did she do so? Now this is where I get this. Now this one I have a lot of questions. Okay, so let's put it into perspective here. Did this person tell Starbucks, hey, I have a disability and this is what it is, so they could make accommodations? I guess that would be my first question.
I did read in the article where there was talk about it, and they never really, like, she was willing to have someone help her or change, like, the font of the reports. That way she could read it a little bit better. But I
Okay.
don't know. I don't know if she ever really knew that she had it, or if it was just, one of those things that she didn't disclose. I didn't say.
I mean, so here's the thing. I don't want my accountant to be a dyslexic.
No.
I don't want him to accidentally report IRS earnings that were like, I earn, 39,000 this year, and he said 93,000.
Right.
And then can I go to them and say, no, it's a simple mistake. My guy's dyslexic. I mean,
yeah, that would not fly really good.
so now I really get. I mean, dyslexic being a dyslexic is kind of a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, I mean it's not. I would think it would be really hard to deal with.
And there's like levels of it too.
Okay.
So there are some people that have like a very minor deal. A lot of times, it could come out that you have a little bit, if you're like read too fast, you'll transpose some of the letters and things of that nature. I understand protecting someone that has a disability. I'm all for that. Now in order for that, the employer has to have notice of it and then make accommodations for it.
Yeah, and I was reading the article here, and she did say that she had made her bosses aware of it.
Okay. So and if they didn't, so here's my problem now. If they didn't do anything to, work with her to make things better, larger font, maybe a second set of eyes on it. I don't know. There could have been different things, but I mean, if someone's cooking something for you and it has to be at a certain temperature, and they transpose some of those numbers and somebody gets killed because of salmonella poisoning or something like that.
Yeah,
I guess I could, on that one, I kind of see both sides. On that can be a very tricky one.
Yeah, but I mean, if if you're aware of the problem, have somebody have a backup. Have, like she said, if the writing was bigger or something, it may have helped her.
Well,
so yeah,
and that's where they should have made accommodations for her.
Right.
So, all right.
Well, and I guess she was a manager too. So I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, so and that actually makes it kind of worse for the company, in my opinion.
Right.
So she worked there. She was doing fine. She was doing well enough that they promoted her.
Yeah.
And then then this happened. I don't think the workplace made good accommodations for her.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. So
I mean, if an employee is having issues and they go to their boss and say, "Hey, this is what my issues are. This is how I think you could fix it." If that boss says, well, no, we can't do that, or no, you can't do that. For example, here's another good example. Mm-hmm. What if she couldn't drive at night? What if she had bad eyesight where she's not able to drive at night? So she goes to her boss and say, hey, I can't work until 8 o'clock at night because it gets dark. I can't see at night. I can't see. I need an earlier shift. They're like, oh, no, too bad. We don't have one of those available, or, something like that. And then where it could have been accommodation to move her.
Yeah.
Say, hey, this person, there's an exception to why we're moving this person. We're gonna balance some things out there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if one of the things that like really kind of irritates me is like when companies like that don't make it transparent to the other people.
Right.
Like if you give them a simple explanation, I mean, it's just, I mean, it's like common sense to me. Like, why can't you just explain it to the other people?
Well, and you don't really have to go into detail either. You can just say, "Hey, we have a special situation. We need to make a few changes here. This is what we're going to do," and at least put the ask. When the company doesn't want, when an employee goes to them and is like, "Please make my font bigger.
Yeah.
I need help," or "I can't work this late," or something, and they're going and they're pleading to their bosses, and then they just get shut down.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, most of the bosses, they'll say, "Well, we're going to keep you on here if your performance improves. You sell a few more sandwiches, maybe we could talk to moving you up."
Yeah.
That's a cop out to me. That's BS. They don't want to go through the effort. They don't want to. Obviously they don't want to make things better.
Right. And they don't want to, like, I don't know, play favorites, or make that let other people assume that they're playing favorites.
Again, that's where you said transparency. Just say, "Hey,
no,
I have a special circumstance. I don't want to get into why it's a protected thing. We can't tell you, but this is what we're doing."
Yeah.
That's fine.
Right.
That would be good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. I just think people, I don't know. It's just be
Kinda
transparent.
crazy. Yeah. Just be honest.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess, yeah, you just have to kind of explain the situation and not try to hide it.
Well, and then obviously if your employee is coming to you for, a change like that, I don't know, maybe hear them out. I mean, obviously this person said, "Hey, a larger font would help. It's so small that, it's hard to read." And then I totally see it. So
yeah, and especially if she told them, "Hey,
well,
I have this,"
The problem that you have is a lot of times you're embarrassed with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Embarrassment is what is the cause for a lot of this stuff. I will tell you that now.
That is true, yeah.
So the next one on our list is religious discrimination.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
that one's a tough one, too.
So now this is actually, I saw this firsthand.
Okay.
Okay. I was working for a company here in Omaha.
Okay.
Now I don't know. It was kind of weird to me, and I thought it was. The argument was there was a female that was I think they're called what's the Middle Eastern.
I just had it and I can't remember it now.
Hijab.
Yeah, I know it starts with an H.
Right. It's the head covering that
Yeah.
that the women from Middle Eastern or that that area they wear. They cover up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So there was it was a call center.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say what company it is. I no longer work there. But I worked there for a while.
You did.
But she was wearing the headgear.
Okay.
And now there was also a couple guys that were. Now they were sitting on. They're sitting on phones. They're in the cubicles, and those cubicles were tiny.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, like,
Tiny.
I could literally touch, like, if I stood up and I reached my hands completely out, I could touch both their heads. We're that close.
Oh wow, yeah.
They're tiny. So, one person was, he wanted to wear a hat, and it was kind of a rule there that don't wear your hat indoors. I don't know why. It was the manager on that group didn't like hats. He didn't like anybody wearing hats. So he's like, "Well, she's wearing a hat," and he's like, "Well, no."
So was it a company policy or just like a manager policy?
So that's where it gets kind of confusing. So you couldn't wear hats while you're on the line group,
Okay.
with the exception of it was a sports section that they had, so they did calls for a sports company.
Okay.
Now the sports people that were taking calls could wear hats.
Well, who's going to see them when they call in? Come on now.
I know.
That's so stupid.
You're right. The problem is it was stupid. It was a stupid thing in the first place. But the sports guys taking these calls could wear a hat. The other groups were not allowed to wear hats. However, if you were the religion, you could wear, the headgear. And a couple of people said, well, I should be able to wear my hat because she's able to, if she could have something on her head, I should have something on my head. That was the whole argument.
Okay.
Now that happens quite a bit. I mean, so.
And I hate to say it, but it just sounds like, these guys being assholes. I mean, come on now. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, but in today's age, there's some things that you're aware of, and just because, oh, she can do it, why can't I? I mean, it just seems kind of
stupid,
petty.
Yeah. So now here's my problem with this scenario.
Okay.
That's a religious thing. Jewish people wear the I think I don't know what it's called, yarmulke.
Yeah.
Or what? Yeah, I don't. My apologies. I don't know what it's called.
I don't think they wear them all the time, though. They wear them for like special occasions.
There's certain days that they wear. There's certain, so that it's not just, you sometimes see them out, and they're some of the more serious believers do wear it a little more often.
Okay.
It is a religious thing. I don't know. I guess. If it's religious, if it's a religion thing, then obviously, leave it alone.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to wear a hat just to wear a hat, stop being an asshole, basically.
Well, yeah, you're right. I can't argue your point for you. That's a good point. Now, here's my problem with it. Now, they had a dress code, like you had to wear a button-up shirt while you're taking phone calls.
See,
now,
and that's stupid too. I'm sorry, it is.
Yeah.
But I can see having a dress code and looking, decent. If you're going to have clients in the office, yeah, you might want to dress up a little bit. But it's everyday stuff. I mean, jeans and, nice jeans, no holes, a nice shirt. There's nothing wrong with that.
I know. And so now, and I think that's kind of what their point was, is nobody could see me. I'm sitting back here in the back with a hat. Now, I think the reason for the hat was when you have your head down and you're looking in there, they can't see your eyes. So they don't know if you're just taking a phone call. So if your supervisor walks by, they can't actually make eye contact if that hat's, down a little bit. Like I said, on this one, I could see a little bit of the reason why you couldn't wear a hat inside.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know. I thought those guys were being assholes. I agree.
Okay.
But, religious discrimination happens all the time.
Yeah, it's sad.
I think, well, and it really depends on how the companies align, like Hobby Lobby. That's more of that's a very Christian, centric, job. They have their heart in, Christianity.
Okay, yeah.
So can you imagine being another faith going to work there?
Yeah, I think that would be a little bit weird.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess Christmas parties at companies, do people feel left out there?
They could. I mean, I guess, and maybe they, try to accommodate if somebody has a different religion than them. I mean, who knows? I mean, you could kind of, I don't know, I guess.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
See?
It's like, if you're going to be religious and be like, hey, love everybody, love everybody no matter what their religion is, I guess.
Well, yeah, I
well,
know.
I mean,
I
yeah.
get it, but I don't know.
I mean, I don't get why people discriminate against other religions, discriminate against a specific religion.
It's happening right now, and
Yeah.
So I mean, it happens. It needs to come to an end. That crap needs to be that needs to be done.
Yeah.
So, all All right, that's on our. So what's your next? That's religion. I think we're gonna leave that one there. That's,
Okay,
that's
yeah. That's probably a good stopping point for that one.
just think that can go. Man, that one could get crazy.
Yeah.
So
So I was reading this other story about these 16 professors at MIT, which happen to be women.
okay,
And this was the one lady who, or the one that wrote the book. She started, I believe, back in like 1999.
okay,
And her coming into the company, seeing how, the other women professors didn't get paid as much or didn't have like the better offices or lab space.
okay,
That was a big thing that was going on there at MIT. So,
okay, and that's been going on for 20 years.
yeah, I mean, it started like when she first started working there in like 1999. She had gone all through all these women who had told their stories about it, and she finally wrote a book about it. So,
Yeah, that gets now the gender. I think that's more of a popular discrimination than religion at this point now.
oh yeah,
Man, you do hear that a lot. You hear that some women don't get paid nearly as much as men do.
right.
And that argument just keeps going on and on. So, and I think that the problem that they do is they go over the average salaries. Mm-hmm. The problem with those average salaries are generally men go into more dangerous work than females do.
Okay.
It really is. So,
Yeah.
we're going to get into we'll go further into men versus women jobs later. But for this topic here, I want to say it's just crazy the way that works out.
Yeah. One of the stories that they talked about was one of the women actually like measuring out the lab space, like her lab between one of the male professors.
Okay, now
And
you're
I mean, she like literally like took a tape measure in there and was like measuring it all out and stuff.
okay. Now her husband's the guy with the hat.
Oh, okay.
Has to be.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
That's kind of an asshole thing to do too.
Yeah.
You have one more inch of lab space than I do. If you're taking a tape measure to measure out, you had me until you said that. I was with you. I'm like, yeah, go. And then you're like, she brought a tape measure. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
I mean,
hey.
oh man, that's, and I get it. Here's also the problem too. There's a lot of jobs where men are discriminated against as well.
Yeah.
There's, and I will tell you, it's kind of a work environment, but it's school. I will tell you, being a father,
Yeah.
if we go to the school with anything with Mikey, they want to talk to the mom. Did you know that?
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I haven't noticed that.
Well, I'm also kind of I don't go away easy, so they learn real quick from me. But I remember with Tiffany growing up, I remember going to the school, and I said, "Yep, I'm Tiffany's dad, and I'm here for the parent-teacher conference." She goes, "Oh, is Tiffany's mom coming? We could wait for her." I'm like, "No, it's just going to be me here."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Are you sure? Because we could wait for her, or do I need to reschedule so I could deal with her mom?" And I will tell you, it kind of pissed me off. And I said, "No, you're going to deal with me, and then you're only going to deal with me now, because now you pissed me off." I don't, I know I know it's a gender subject, but I hate those solicitor calls that call and say, "Hi, can I speak to the man of the house? hi, can I speak to the woman of the house?
I don't
Because
think those
they're
happen that much anymore.
not anymore, but they used to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They used to all the
Yeah.
time. Mikey, there used to be a time where door-to-door salesmen go through, and if a man answered the door and he was selling vacuum cleaners, he would only talk to the woman.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, because the man never vacuumed.
Well, now you're just assuming. That's kind of discrimination.
Come on, like now.
Did you just discriminate on our discrimination show?
Well, you go back to the 70s or the 80s, like men didn't vacuum, men didn't stay home and take care of the house.
Different time. So that's
Yeah.
and that's where the problem is coming in now. Is it was a different time.
Yeah.
Now there has been gender roles. There, and those gender roles may change, but there's generally in a relationship there's the alpha personality,
Right.
and then there's a submissive personality. There is always an alpha. There is always someone that's submissive. Now those roles can change depending on what happens.
Yeah.
It just happens. So now that could be in and I've seen women in that dominant role, and I've seen men in that dominant role, and I've seen that role change depending on what they were talking about.
That's
So
true.
hey, I handle this stuff. This is what this is my forte. You handle this stuff, and whatever they have set up that works for them, great. But I don't know. That's kind of crazy there.
Yeah.
All right. And then the last one is age discrimination.
Age, yeah.
What do you think of that one?
Yeah. I don't know about
Yeah, just yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yep, I know that one.
I mean, it's, unfortunately, I see it in my job with the older people that I work with. They don't quite get the new processes or the new technology. So, I mean, I see it, but it's just one of those things where you gotta it's like an understanding. You kind of just gotta say, hey, okay, they're a little bit older. They might not understand. Have some patience.
So so the one I had the story I looked up on this age discrimination was they didn't, so they were switching all their office over to computers.
Okay.
And then I'm going to gather based off the story that I guess they asked the guy and said, hey, do are you good on a computer? And he's like, I've never used one before. And so they just didn't train him on it.
Yeah. Now, see, that's just, I mean, you've got to at least try.
I agree. But they didn't train him at all. Now, here's the problem with a lot of discrimination, especially with the age one. When you get up in that age and you're getting ready to retire, it almost seems like companies will do things like, well, we're not going to teach you how to use a computer. And then I'll be honest, I think a lot of them are hoping that that person will get frustrated and just retire.
Yeah.
Now, I think the company that your dad worked for did him very well.
They did, yeah.
There was no age discrimination when he left.
Right.
In fact, they kind of kept him on longer, and he kind of told them, he's like, I'm going to give it a little bit longer than I'm retiring.
Yeah.
And he went through, and I guess he went in there and said, well, that time clock is ticking down here.
Yeah, I think it was something about having to maybe go back into the office. He was like, I'm done.
Yeah. So, yeah, because
that's enough for me.
So now that was a good exit. I like how that company handled your father's situation.
Yeah.
I don't like when they kind of make the person feel frustrated.
Right.
And kind of like push them out.
Yeah. I've seen that happen too.
So now here's the biggest thing with, now the EEOC, they're the ones that oversee this.
Correct.
Okay. So now these are kind of the stories. Now, if you think you have been discriminated against at work, okay?
Okay.
Me personally, I always say, go raise it to your HR department. Your company should have someone internal that they can go through that with you.
Right.
I always say you should start there
Okay.
because nobody likes to get blindsided, and I
Right.
don't like blindsiding anybody myself.
Yeah.
So I always say you have to go go that route. Would you agree with that? Or
I would, yeah.
now here's the other thing that I have to say. Your company, and you'll know, I will tell you, you'll know right away whether they say, look, now if you go and say, hey, I was discriminated against, I didn't get this, I was pregnant and my boss said, I should only hire men because at least they don't get knocked up.
Yeah.
If your boss makes a statement like that, that's discrimination. You can't make a comment like that. That is wrong. Don't do it. If you're a boss, don't ever do that. Don't ever make a comment like that. Now, if she goes to her HR, and I will tell you, if that department goes, well, we'll investigate it, and nothing ever happens, and because you'll see, now they can't tell you when something like that happens,
Right.
but you'll see something should happen.
Yeah.
Either you'll get moved to another team, either that person will have to go through sensitivity training. There could be a lot of stuff that would happen, and then but if your company goes, well, he was just kidding, right?
Yeah.
Now I will tell you, you should go to the EEOC.
Yep. And you can reach them, first on their website, which is www.eeoc.gov.
Okay, and their phone number is the 1-800-669-4000.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can do it either online, by phone, or in person. But
Right.
I don't know how many offices they really have. So
Yeah, and I think they could do a lot of it online, or like they'll do like a phone interview and stuff like that.
okay.
So you got to keep in mind that that's what they're going to do. I would highly recommend, if you don't think you're getting somewhere, you'll know right away, file a claim right away. Let them investigate it. That's what their job is.
Right.
I would recommend doing that. Now, the reason I say that, companies do not care about you. I'm telling you that right now. If I can I can almost guarantee, especially, some of these companies are really cutthroat.
Yeah.
You could have a heart attack and die, and they will have your replacement at clearing out your desk
Yeah.
before your funeral, before you're even in the ground.
Right.
The companies, there's no loyalty in companies now.
Yeah. I don't think there is. I don't know.
Really, where?
I feel
Show
kind
me.
of, yeah, well, I don't know. Because, I feel pretty, like, when I tried to, leave my job, they were like, no.
Yeah.
They were on the ball. They were like, no, we don't want to lose you, it was a lot that they did to, keep me there.
So
I kind of feel, loyal to them now for doing that.
okay, so you are one of the few then.
Yeah.
So now with you, yeah, you know what? If they showed you that loyalty and they say, nope, we want you to stay, we go, you could stay here and I want you here. What can we do to make you happy?
Yeah.
If your job comes to you and says, hey, what can we do to make you happy? What can we do to help you out? If they do that, then you got a good employer.
Yeah.
If you
They did that for me. So.
right. But if you go to your job and you're like saying, hey, I'm not getting paid enough. And they say, well, it's what we pay,
Yeah.
or, if you go and, you go and go say, hey, I'm looking for another job. Okay. Or if you go and say, hey, I don't like this. Well, you could always get another job somewhere else if you don't like the way the things are here.
I like the one, I had a friend that recently went through this. They're like, well, if you quit and reapply in 6 months, you'd get paid more.
So
really?
that's where I'm saying is the problem.
Yeah.
I got from that previous job, I had a job offer And then I got the job.
Yeah.
And then the recruiter called me back and said, you're an internal hire. We can only increase your salary by 10%. And I said, wait a minute. Because I'm coming from the company, you're going to pay me less. And I'm like, but if I was an external hire, you'd pay me more?
Yeah.
That's how this works?
Yeah.
So I could literally quit and come back with possibly more money. And the person goes, well, yeah, unfortunately that happens. Well, you're doing that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I don't know. I don't think companies really have your best interest at heart. Now, here's the other problem that I see with a lot of discrimination claims. If you file a discrimination claim, so let's say this pregnant lady, complained about her boss that made this comment.
Yeah.
And then they go through the investigation, and let's say they didn't really do anything, or let's say it's worse. Let's say they say, hey, you don't get that promotion because of this is what you did. So now you got to stay in that position.
Yeah.
And now you got to go through sensitivity training, and you're going to have a black mark on your record. He's going to know. He's going to know.
Right.
And then that poor girl that's going to be on the team is still going. Now, here's the problem. He's going to find a reason to fire her. Yeah. He's going to be like,
make her life hell.
Yeah, make her life hell. He's going to be sitting by the time clock. You were 3 minutes late to work. We only have a tolerance of 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You're 3 minutes late to work. I'm going to have to write you up.
Yeah.
You've never written this person up before.
Yeah.
Never. And then now all of a sudden, because she reported you, that's what you're going to do. Isn't that kind of shitty to do?
It is kind of, yeah.
That's why when there's a claim made, especially against a boss, you don't keep them on the same team. That's for damn sure.
Right.
You're just asking for trouble there, right?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Because then, can you imagine? That boss is writing everything for you. So he's like, now that pregnant lady, she comes in and she's like, I have the baby, great. She's back to work, back from maternity leave. Now he's still salty. He's still pissed off, right?
Yeah.
And then she's like, here comes raise time or bonuses or whatever they're going to do. It's time to see a raise. Well, your performance has been kind of lacking here. And a lot of those performance reviews they're not based off facts. They're all just opinions from your manager.
Yeah.
So you're
That's
like,
true.
well, during the team meetings, you didn't really speak up. I was on maternity leave. Yeah, but we missed your voice. So they come up with some bullshit reasons like that. And then what's worse is they just at that point they're like, they'll start all of a sudden. That's where things start to spiral out of control. That's generally the point. So when you report something, like there's been employees that were like model citizens. They were like, they're great, never been written up, anything. They get a bad boss, this pregnant lady, reports his boss for saying something stupid. Next thing you know, there's a lot of problems with this play. All of a sudden, the person been there for 20 years, right? 20 years, and you report this problem, and all of a sudden, this last year you just haven't been doing anything. I don't know, all of a sudden shit starts getting made up.
Right.
Now, here's also the thing that you have to do with that. That lady, after hearing that comment from that guy saying, oh yeah, I'll just hire guys. What if she goes in there and she might not be comfortable anymore? Her whole demeanor can change in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, especially if you got to work around.
Can you imagine working with someone that made a bad comment like that to you?
I'd be like, asshole.
Right. See what I mean? It's just one of those things, and you just have to go, well, I got to go walk in there and see it. I will tell you, her performance probably has gone down because she doesn't want to say anything. She's kind of mousing in and out of the room for team meetings, and she doesn't want to say anything. She doesn't want to say, Kathy. Oh, hey, Kathy, how's your kids doing? She don't want to. Don't mention kids. Pregnant and no. Can you imagine that stress that person goes through?
Yeah,
It'd
that
be
would not
pretty
be
crazy.
fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I think depending on the company, they could work that out better.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think that was a good discussion. I think
it was. Yeah.
143 more cases. That's 50% more than the year before.
That's just crazy.
So.
Yeah. Nuts.
Yep. I wish everybody got an employer like you, man.
I know.
Be nice. So.
All right. Well, where can you find us at?
Where can we find us at?
Yeah.
In Omaha.
Okay.
And we're also on. What's wrong, Mike? You don't like that answer?
I mean,
we're here.
It's a true answer, but like
on social media.
That's not quite what
you want to
meant.
know where we're on social media?
Yeah.
We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on X.
Okay. And then you can listen to us on like any of your favorite podcast players like iHeart, Spotify, Apple, YouTube Music, Amazon, Samsung. There's like so many of them.
I know. And they keep going. Yeah, that's nice.
It's crazy.
Now, you could also see us on YouTube. We're also on Rumble, and we're on TikTok.
Okay.
So we're kind of all on pretty much every platform.
We are.
Come give us a like. Come give us a shout out. If you have any comments on any of the stuff we talk about, we love reading comments. So
We do.
We're all about the comments, and
Yep.
give us a like, give us a thumbs up. If you don't like what we have to say, tell us too.
Okay.
We'll take that feedback in a heartbeat. Those go to Mikey, and he has to take care of all the negative stuff. So
Yeah.
he likes those. He loves negative remarks.
I do not.
All right. Well, I think that's a good show.
All right. Bye, everybody.